Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 ways to improve your mental health right now. And I'm really doing this because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it is so important to have this conversation and to keep talking about it and keep spreading awareness about mental health and making sure it is healthy and positive and just keep normalizing it. I basically have a whole podcast dedicated to mental health in a lot of different aspects. And for me, that's talking about positive mindsets and self love journeys and being accepting of yourself and who you are, creating boundaries, and doing all of these things basically to honor your mental health and to keep you in a healthy headspace as much as possible. So I just knew that I needed to do a whole episode devoted to mental health and improving it during May of this year. And it is probably something I will continue to do in the future. Obviously, like this whole podcast revolves around mental health. It's something that we are constantly talking about. But I just wanted to give you 10 easy or at least actionable steps to improve your mental health that aren't like crazy big changes that you need to make in your life to help you this month, this week, or even just today. So that is my hope for this episode. I really believe that doing small things on a regular basis can make a big impact on your life and whatever area of it you're trying to change or improve. And I still like that approach when it comes to mental health. And so these tips that I'm sharing today, they're going to be quick and, in my opinion, easy to implement because I just don't believe in like stressing and planning about something when you're already stressed out and overwhelmed. So these are just like easy swaps that you can make or things that you can add to your routine that will nurture your mind just a little bit more and help you to take care of yourself on a regular basis. So whether you do all of these tips or none of them, please just take care of yourself this month. Whether you need to have some alone time set aside or you need to reevaluate some boundaries and reinforce some things, or just do something for the hell of it because you want to do it. This is a great excuse to do it this month because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So my first tip for you is to take a mental health day, whether that means taking paid time off of work or asking somebody to keep the kids or, checking out a hotel room for the night to get away from like your home and your daily life. Whatever you need, take a mental health day. Now, sometimes we don't always have the luxury to totally let go of all of our responsibilities, but take as much off of your plate as you can, or just take a fucking break. Like, we all know that you deserve it and that you need it. So just make it fit into your life, however that looks right now. Just take a moment to kind of be quiet and breathe and really just see what comes to mind when you're thinking about what your mind needs, what your body needs to really rest and recharge. So I'm just going to throw out some ideas for a mental health day, and you can do all of them, none of them, whatever works for you. But if you're just like, I have no idea where to even start when thinking about taking a mental health day, maybe these ideas will help you. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is to wake up without an alarm. It is seriously magical to just like wake up when your body is ready to wake up or when the sun comes in through your windows. And it's just like a very slow, easy start to the day. So I love waking up without an alarm clock and really listening to my body and resting for as long as it feels like it needs to. If it's nice enough, you can also drink your morning coffee outside by just like slowing down, taking that cup of coffee, like make yourself a mug of coffee and go sit outside or sit in your favorite chair. Just something to kind of set the tone for the day that we're going to take things slow and easy and we're going to savor these things and enjoy it. After you have enjoyed your morning coffee and you've done kind of the routine things that you have to do in the morning, maybe you can watch your favorite movie in the bath or on the couch or wrapped up in bed in your favorite cozy blanket. I love watching comfort movies when I need that mental health break day because I already know what's going to happen. It's usually a movie I've seen 1,000 times, but I know it's going to make me laugh or it's going to make me cry or just give me like the warm, fuzzy things that I've been craving. So just pick one of those movies that makes you feel good and will help you to stay relaxed versus be like anxious about it or worried about how it's going to go or worried about dozing off and missing some of the movie. Like if it's a comfort movie and one that you love, you've probably seen it so many times that you can quote it in your sleep if you had to. And so it kind of feels like an old friend when you watch an old movie like that. And it's comfortable and it allows you to totally relax and kind of just let your mind be blank. Because again, you're taking in something that you've already taken in. And so I just feel like you can relax and not have your mind racing and still enjoy something. And if you're not really feeling a movie, maybe make time to read that book you've really been wanting to and you just haven't got to. So you can also do that in the bath or on the couch or in the bed or lay outside in your hammock, like whatever feels good to you. Make time to read that book that you've been dying to just get into a little bit more or to finish. Another thing I love about mental health days is like you don't have to have a time limit or pressure on anything if you don't want to. So you can just be like, I'm going to pick up this book. I might read one chapter. I might finish it. I might spend 20 minutes reading it, might be the rest of the day. And just being okay with that, to just really give in to the desires that you have in that moment, because normally in our lives, we have to answer to so many other people and just things that are like naturally happening or our own guilt about things that we don't want to do. So this is a day to totally indulge in the things that you want to do. And really, I think that is genuinely listening to your mind and body and then just honoring that and not thinking poorly of yourself for being lazy or laying around all day. You deserve it. So if your body's asking for it, just give it what it needs. You can also have some quiet time by putting your phone on do not disturb mode. And when I put my phone on do not disturb mode, it just allows me to like listen to a podcast or an audiobook and not constantly be interrupted by notifications that I'm getting. And it also allows me to take control back over my phone versus my phone being in charge of me. And I'm able to check on those text messages and calls and whatever when I'm in the mental space to do so. Because some days I just need to not be interrupted because I get distracted or I stop doing the thing that I want to do to act on whatever thing I need to be doing based on, whatever text message I got. You know how it goes. Our phones tend to rule us and can end up totally derailing our day and whatever task that we're doing. So I just like to put it on do not disturb mode when I need that time to just like focus on the thing that I want to be focused on. You can also do some kind of yoga or Pilates or meditation, just something to kind of slow down a little bit, but still potentially move your body if that's something that feels good. Do some stretches, just again, listening to your body and trying to give it what it needs. You can also have a good cry if you want to. I know sometimes I will put on like episodes of TV shows or a movie that is more emotional just to help me get some of those emotions out. I used to cry so easily before I was a mom, and I don't know, that is not so much the case anymore, but I think it is so important to kind of finish and end that stress cycle. And the relief that I feel after I have a good cry is like amazing. It kind of sucks to get there and to have those hard moments, but sometimes I just need to get to the other side of it. And a lot of times in my daily life, I don't give myself the time that I need in the space to like fully process all of those feelings. So sometimes, even though it might sound like not a great idea on a mental health day to have a good cry, but I think it can be really beneficial sometimes. And something else I think is fun to do on your mental health day is to cook a meal that you enjoy. That is like your favorite comfort meal, or go pick up that meal. Even if it's like from a sit down restaurant, pretty much everybody does to go orders these days. So just treat yourself to something that makes you feel good. Every once in a while, cooking is therapeutic for me, not all the time because I'm not like naturally gifted when it comes to cooking, but sometimes it does kind of boost my confidence to get in the kitchen, get my hands dirty, and make a meal that I've been craving. And just enjoy the whole process of it. So you can always just play around with that. If you don't have time to cook yourself something, then treat yourself to some kind of meal that is like a special treat and not just your normal kind of daily routine. Okay, so I did that tip first because it was like the bulkiest one and had a lot more context. So now I'm going to move into the other 9 tips that I have for you when it comes to improving your mental health. So the second one is to contact somebody that you've been missing. So this could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be, somebody that you saw last week or somebody that you haven't seen in years. I know, especially with COVID and stuff, like there's been so much isolation. And I feel like because of that, and maybe it's just me, but it could be other people too, I've developed this like social anxiety that I never really had before. And I'm worried about making commitments, making plans, because in the last couple of years, everything has been so unpredictable. And I have been reluctant to get together with people at all. And so that kind of led to me not reaching out to hardly anyone ever. And I became really lonely and feeling really isolated. And so if you are feeling that way, if you're feeling lonely, just reach out to whoever comes to mind when I say contact somebody you're missing. Maybe it's time to reach out to them. And if you're not ready to do that yet, that's okay. But when you get to the point that you're ready, just send a quick text. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment. You could even write a letter if you wanted to. You don't have to FaceTime them and get on the phone unless that is something that you would want to do. But just reaching out to them, seeing how they're doing and hearing from them will probably make you feel really good. And it improves your mental health just because you're craving that person. So again, listen to your mind and just follow that urge, if that makes sense. Okay, so this third thing is something that I love doing, and it's something that you can easily add into the routine that you already have. And that is to just take a little bit of extra time in the shower. And also, you can start replacing some of your shower products with nicer ones or different ones that you enjoy. So I have added a sugar scrub to my shower that I use all the time now. And it's really not like that groundbreaking, but I love having a sugar scrub in the shower. It's always a way for me to kind of, in my shower, I kind of scrub it literally all over my body sometimes. But I especially get like my hands and my feet and my elbows and like anything that I feel like needs a little extra TLC. And I've also gotten things like a pumice stone and a hair mask and facial scrub. So just things that help me to take care of my body, but also I'm all about adding some of those moments of just quiet and slowness to my day, and making those kinds of tweaks help me do that. And it's kind of hard to believe that I'm suggesting this next tip. Like, if you knew me a couple years ago, you would be like, what the hell are you talking about? But my fourth tip is to take a nap. So I used to hate the ideas of naps. I am a terrible sleeper. I was always a night owl. I love to stay up late and to get up early. I wanted to get like every moment out of life. I wanted to be productive every moment of every day. And that really just led to me being burnout and sick all the time, to be completely honest. And I couldn't ever take a nap because I like wasn't giving myself permission to take a nap. And so I would just lay there wide awake, like thinking about all the things that I needed to do and like telling myself, you're going to have a headache when you get up from this nap, and just being very, very negative about it. But ever since I've become a mom, I've been way more tired. And so it is way easier for me to take a nap than it used to be. And I don't guilt myself when I do it. Some days you just need that little pick me up. So even if it's a 10 or 20-minute nap, I don't know who can fall asleep and only do a 10-minute nap, but there are probably people out there. But I usually try to do 20 or 30 minutes. This is definitely not every day, but definitely a couple times a week, when years ago it would have been never. I would have never been caught taking a nap when I could have been doing something productive. But now I feel so much more recharged and rested when I listen to my body, and I'm like, I literally can't hold my eyes open. I need to just lay down for a few minutes. So when I do this is either when I'm rocking my daughter and putting her down for a nap and I fall asleep, rocking her, probably before she falls asleep, or I put her down for her nap and I go lay in my bed for 20 minutes. It usually ends up being like 30 or 40 minutes, but I feel so much better after I have a nap, and I have a sleep meditation that helps me get to sleep quickly. Because that was always my other thing, was it always took me like 20 to 30 minutes to fall asleep. And then if I took a nap, and then the next thing I know, like she's up and I've wasted all of that time napping, which is not really wasted because I was resting, but you know what I mean. If you only have so many minutes to yourself in a day, you want to get as much done as possible, or just do shit that you want to do versus being bossed around by whoever is bossing you around the rest of the day. But either way, naps have been great for me. I embrace them now. I advocate for them now. So when you can, sneak in a nap. My fifth tip is to unplug from everything. At least once a month, I try to have like an extremely quote unquote lazy day, and I cannot be bothered by my technology. I do not open my laptop. My phone is on do not disturb. I try not to think about work. And it's not like I don't want to talk to anybody those days, but some days I need to not have those things so easily accessible. Because, like I mentioned a few tips ago, like your phone can just end up distracting you from so many things, or it can be lunchtime. And I realize like I've been watching YouTube videos for most of the day, or I've been on TikTok for an hour and I'm like, how did this happen? Versus doing something that actually does help me rest and recharge, or just not be attached to my phone. So I really like doing that. I love the days where I lose track of my phone and I can't find it, because that just means that I'm enjoying the present day and I'm soaking in the moments that are happening right there. And even if it's a day when, I maybe somehow have the house to myself, then I can just like be AWOL and feel amazing about it. And also, you don't have to unplug for like a whole day, even if you just do for an hour. I know when I first started doing this, I would try to do it like once we sat down for dinner, I didn't touch my phone like from that point until like at least an hour after dinner. And at first that was super weird because I was just used to having my phone right there. And, when you have a kid, you end up like taking pictures and videos of them, but then you also end up getting on Instagram and scrolling and like doing all of these things. And I was just tired of having my phone boss me around and reminding me of my to-do list, or seeing something on social media that would impact my mood very quickly or distract me and make me feel like I need to be doing something else. So I have just really come to enjoy and appreciate the time that I do take to unplug from my phone. So speaking of social media, I have said this probably several times on this podcast already, but you can always unfollow or mute or block anybody in your feed that is not serving you in a positive way. So just anything that you see that makes you feel uneasy, makes you feel uncomfortable or less than, get that shit out of your face, get it out of your feed, whether you need to just take a break from following a certain account or you need to like totally remove yourself from the situation. I am giving you the permission to do that. And you don't have to have like a day that you purge all of the things that you're following. You can do that, but you could also just, as you see it, take care of it. That way you don't end up with a feed that is super negative to you. I could look at your feed and like not be affected by it and think that it looks totally fine, but you might be triggered by certain things that people are saying or doing or posting, and you just need to get that out of your face so that you're not hyper focused on it. Sorry if you heard my dog barking. So basically, just don't be afraid to unfollow or block anything that doesn't make you feel good on social media. And you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. Okay, so I've given you like really easy tips so far. This next one might be a little bit tougher, but it's about boundaries, okay? Maybe it is time for you to reevaluate some boundaries and to start communicating them, which is the super uncomfortable part. But I think it can be very helpful to take a look at your boundaries when you are already in a calm state and not like super stressed out and overwhelmed. So maybe think of some of the things that made you crave a mental health day and see if we can build some boundaries around that. So before you just dive into this one, I want you to give yourself some space and time to like safely process all of this so that it doesn't turn into some big stressful emotional thing. So it's usually helpful for me to kind of dump the feelings I have about my boundaries in some sort of way, whether I write it out or I do a voice to text like note in my phone, or if I talk it out to Dylan, or, something like that where I can just get it all out. So it's not just in my mind. And then I can kind of go back and problem by problem work on solving it versus, I'm just going to say no to everyone forever. Sometimes that is what I want to do, but I know it's not very realistic to do that. So it's just better, in my opinion, to set aside some kind of safe space and give yourself the time to properly work through those things and come up with new solutions that can work in a way that better supports you and your mental health. Okay, these next two tips are fun. I promise. I know it's been like kind of heavy, kind of light, whatever. We're back to fun mode. So, my eighth tip is to just dream a little. Give yourself, again, that safe space and that time to just dream, just wonder. Think about the future, think about the present day, think about where you want to go, what you want to see, what you want to do, who you want to be one day. And don't put a bunch of like pressure on it. Don't draw up a 5-year plan in that moment. Just literally do it to just open up your mind a little bit and see again what you are craving. Are you craving travel? That might mean that you're feeling stir crazy and tired of being at home all the time. And maybe that your soul is just craving like either adventure or getting out and meeting new people or breaking away from your regular daily life and routine. So no matter what you're dreaming about, I feel like that can potentially be a goal of yours to achieve, but really you can break it down a little bit more and just be like, why am I feeling that way? And how can I give myself a taste of that, of whatever it is I'm craving instead of depriving myself of it? And my ninth tip is to have a dance party. And this might sound dumb as hell, and it's like embarrassing sometimes. I, for one, cannot dance at all. But I remember in our old house, I would play music and I had dance parties like in our kitchen all the time. My dog loved it. Dylan, I think, was indifferent. But now I have Harper who loves dancing with me. And we don't do this all the time, but when we do it, like I just feel so good. It feels so silly. And I get some of my own like wiggles out. Like I know they talk about kids getting wiggles out, but I feel like when you are a grown up and you're not having fun on a regular basis, it's good for you to kind of get that movement out and just be silly, do what feels good, and maybe you can dance really well. So then you can dance really well in your kitchen. I will just be the one badly dancing. But it is fun and I feel so much better after I do that. And I'm like out of breath and I'm huffing and puffing, but it was like the best time. And so I have loved playing music throughout the day. I don't do it all the time and I get so down on myself because I'm like, maybe today would have been a better day if I had remembered to put music on instead of listening to an audiobook or podcast or nothing, and just like was playing quietly with Harper and having conversation with her. But the whole vibe of our house and our moods change just by having some kind of music playing that we enjoy. And at this point, I don't really play kids' music for Harper because I want her to be interested in my music. Maybe that is extremely selfish of me, but that's kind of where we're at now, where she's not asking for a specific kind of music anymore. So we love dancing to Taylor Swift, to be totally honest. Those are always our dance songs, and I love it. Okay, so my last tip for improving your mental health is one that is very easy, one that you can do literally right now if you want to. And that is to take a 5-minute break. So this can be a 5-minute break within your lunch break at work today, a 5-minute break before you walk into work, or, while your kid's napping, or even once your partner is home and you can kind of sneak away for a little bit. But just taking 5 minutes to sit with yourself, to take some deep breaths and maybe not think about anything, maybe think about whatever specific thing has been bothering you, and even just give yourself a hug. And this, like, that kind of feels weird, right? It's like, oh, hug. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I needed that. Like, I just needed one to stretch, but also like just to feel that kind of embrace. And it seems silly. That's why you can take a break. You can do this by yourself or nobody else is going to see you, but just take that 5 minutes and remind yourself that you are capable, you are deserving, you are worthy of all the things that you have and all the things that you want in this life. And whatever hard thing that you're going through right now, it's just a season. You will get through it. And you might just need to slow down a little bit or take a little extra care of yourself to get through this tough season and situation. And if you need multiple 5-minute breaks, take those breaks. But that can just be a nice way to kind of reset, recenter yourself. You can even try to set a new intention for the day if it's one that has totally gone off the fucking rails, and just take that deep breath and be like, I'm a badass. I can do this. I can get this done. So I hope that these tips have helped you today. Like I said, I tried to make them very kind of bite size and things that you could do right now without having a lot of preparation or stress put into like planning around it, except for maybe the mental health day and reevaluating some boundaries. I do have another episode that's all about boundaries, so I'll be sure to link that in the description just so that you have it if you need a refresher on that one. And I hope that you remember to take care of yourself this month because you truly deserve it. Please take some time to slow down this month, take care of yourself, and keep spreading awareness about mental health. I am so glad that is becoming more normalized, that like we all have fucking anxiety and depression and like we're overwhelmed and we're burnt out. And I just think it's a way for us to all come together and be a little easier on each other because we all have our own shit that we're dealing with. But so please be mindful of that, but also be fierce about protecting yourself, your own mental health, and your boundaries, because that is what really is going to keep you from constantly being burnt out and overwhelmed and hating everyone and everything. And I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy. And you should want that for yourself too, because you deserve it. So thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.